Chris Graham here for Trailblazer RV. I'm going to take you through a new RV orientation on a 2019 Sportsman Classic 190BH. Starting right here at the front of the trailer where you have your propane bottle. It's a 20-pound propane bottle. This is full right now. Being a 20-pound bottle, will work with the various propane exchange programs that are out there. When you go to open your propane bottle, always open the valve slowly and all the way on a propane tank. That will prevent the excess flow valve from tripping. If you open that valve too quickly, it can fool the RV into thinking too much propane is flowing, and it can trip the excess flow valve. So open that valve nice and slow and open it all the way. Right behind the propane tank is your battery. It's a 12-volt deep cycle RV battery with two leads going to the battery, a red lead going to the positive and black going to the negative. It's a flooded wet cell battery, so it does require a little bit of maintenance. We recommend once or twice a year popping these two caps off the top of the battery and checking the fluid level in the 6 cells that you'll find beneath the caps. If any of the cells are a little bit low, or if you can see metal plates sticking through the fluid, top that up with some distilled water, put a good charge on the battery, and it should be good to go. We also recommend removing the battery from the RV for winter storage, storing it somewhere indoors where it's not going to freeze, and if possible, putting a trickle charge on the battery once or twice over the course of the off season. Around the side of the trailer, you have stabilizing jacks on all 4 corners. So once you've got the RV parked on the site and relatively level, crank these stabilizer jacks down to be snug with the ground, but don't actually lift the RV with them. They're not designed to lift or level, they're just for stability. The best way to actually level the RV, if it's very unlevel at the site, is to back it up on blocks. Some people will use just simple 2x6s, but we do have special RV leveling blocks that fit together like Legos, can support lots of weight, and they pack away nice and easy and are nice and light. So you can consider picking up some of those. Your tires are inflated to 65 PSI. It's stamped right on the sidewall of the tire, 65 PSI cold, and we do recommend running them right at 65 PSI. Also, your lug nuts are torqued to 100 foot-pounds. We recommend periodic retorquing of your lug nuts. And this RV has the Easy Lube axles. So if you pop this rubber cap off here, you'll find a grease zerk that you can grease your inner and outer wheel bearings. Now that doesn't eliminate the need to repack wheel bearings, but instead of doing it every year, maybe only do it every 3 or 4 years. Right above that is your furnace exhaust, so just be aware this gets really hot when it's running, and make sure that the kids know not to get too close to that. And your your fridge vent right above that. So this panel can be removed to access the back of the fridge for some repair and maintenance work or cleaning, but unlikely that you'll ever really need to get in there. It's mostly just for vent for airflow. This is where your 30-amp power cord will attach. The power cord's stored in the front storage compartment and just attaches onto here. It's a 30-amp power cord, and lots of sites that you visit will have 30-amp power available. We also include the park adapter to break that down to 15-amp power to plug into your normal household style power outlet. Right behind that is your sewer termination system. So we supply a sewer hose. There's a new 20-foot medium heavy-duty sewer hose inside the rear bumper. Attach the sewer hose onto here when you go to dump your holding tanks. Other end goes into the ground. And then always dump the larger black valve first. That's your sewer holding tank. And once that's finished draining, you can close that black valve and pull the smaller gray valve. That's your sink and shower water, your gray water. If you always dump your sewer first, then use your gray water to flush out the sewer hose, you won't have any sewer remnants left in the sewer hose when you have to disconnect it. Your city water connection is right here. So if you're staying at a site that has pressurized city water, you can hook your hose right up to here. You can do that with a normal garden hose, or what we recommend is using one of those white non-toxic drinking water hoses so that you don't get that plastic taste in your water. If you're going to hook up to the city water, we also recommend using a water pressure regulator there. Just a little brass piece that goes on the end of your water hose to maintain normal operating pressure in the water system. You can also fill your fresh water holding tank from here. This is just a gravity fill. You can use the same hose to fill your freshwater reservoir. Here you've got your hot water tank. So this is a gas electric hot water tank with two little black reset buttons here. These are for resetting the tank if it ever overheats. If the tank overheats, you'll trip these ECOs and you'll have to come out here and reset these before you can start the tank up again. This is also where you'll access your drain plug to drain the water for the winter. You can pull the drain plug out of the bottom of the tank, and there's a rod on the end of it about that long. It's your sacrificial anode rod. The anode rod is there to corrode over time to protect the inside lining of the tank from corroding. So it can get quite pitted and corroded looking after a couple of years. And once it gets down to the little steel rod right in the center of it, it needs to be replaced. Typically, depending on the quality of the water, every 3 to 5 years you'll have to replace your anode rod. Make sure you pull, before you pull this out, that you release the pressure from the tank using the pressure relief valve. That way, when you remove this, you won't get sprayed by water. Around the back of the trailer is where your spare tire is mounted. It's worth noting that the trailer doesn't come with a jack or a wheel wrench, so it's a good idea to make sure that you've got a wheel wrench that fits the trailer's lug nuts, just in case you do have to change a tire on the fly out. Around the front is your awning. It's a power height adjustable awning. If we open up the door to fold the step down, just pull the handle and lower down. The legs are adjustable if you're on uneven ground, and you can adjust those legs. And your awning switch is right inside the entry door here. Simple in-out operation. So if we press and hold the out button, the awning will extend. A little blue backlit switch right here. Make sure when you extend your awning that you don't have the door all the way open, because it can impede the extension of the awning. There's a little blue backlit switch just inside the door to activate your awning light. And you don't have to extend that awning all the way. In fact, we'll stop it right there. It extends a full 8 feet, but if you've got a tree or another RV blocking the extension, you can stop it at any time. Another thing with this awning that's nice to note is it's height adjustable. So you can pull down on the lower arm here to adjust the height. Both ends are adjustable, but what we recommend is leaving one end lower than the other so that you can control where the rainwater runs off. When you put the awning away, put both arms back to full height. That way you know that the canvas will roll up straight on the roller tube. Follow me inside the trailer, and we'll go through a few more things. Right here near the entry door is where you'll find your stereo system. So it's AM, FM, Bluetooth, USB, HDMI, and auxiliary in. So no CD player anymore in this stereo, but every other type of input. You've got a light switch here for your main interior lighting. And then some of your other lighting just comes on with the touch button on each individual light. Here at your fridge, it's a gas electric automatic fridge, so it can run on 110 volt electricity or propane. If we turn it on and set the mode to A for automatic, it will always search for electricity first, and it will run on electricity if it has that. But if it doesn't have electricity, or if it senses a loss of electricity, it'll automatically start up the propane. There's also a temperature adjustment here, 1 through 5. I usually set it on 3 or 4, but you may find that depending on the ambient temperature, you may need to adjust that. You can also override the automatic on this fridge to run only on propane. And the only situations you might want to do that is if you're trying to conserve electricity, if you're plugged into a weaker breaker, or you may find that the fridge actually cools faster on gas than on electricity. Now, having said that, it does take an RV fridge several hours to cool down, so we recommend getting the fridge cooling the day before you load up, just to ensure that it's cold by the time you load your food into it. To turn off the fridge, press and hold the button for 3 seconds. Your stove top, you've got 2 propane burners, and you can just light them with a barbecue lighter. It's a good idea every time you replace your propane tank, come into the trailer and just open up these valves and open up these knobs and light your 2 burners. Once you can light those 2 burners, you know you've bled the air off of the propane system, and you won't have any trouble getting your fridge, furnace, or hot water tank lit. Right here at the back of the trailer is the thermostat that controls the furnace. So with this style of thermostat, turn it on and just slide it up to temperature. There's no actual specific temperature reading there, so you just have to kind of find the spot that's comfortable. When it's calling for heat, the fan will come on immediately, but it takes a few seconds before the burner actually lights up. And you should be able to hear that. There we go. So now if we wait a few seconds, we'd have warm air blowing right from the furnace unit itself. Once it comes up to temperature, or you shut it off, exactly the same thing happens, only the reverse. The burner goes out immediately, but the fan is still going to run for 30 seconds to a minute just to go through its cycle. With this style of thermostat, one thing to be aware of, when you shut it off, slide it all the way over to the off setting and make sure you hear an audible click. Otherwise, you put the RV into storage and all you've done is turn the thermostat all the way down. That furnace could still be trying to come on overnight, running down your battery and depleting your propane system. Down here is where you'll find your power converter. This is the power center for the entire trailer. So all of your 12 volt circuits are protected by fuses, and all of your 110 volt circuits by breakers. You've got all 15 amp fuses here, so a good idea to have some extra 15 amp fuses, just because it's not uncommon in an RV to blow a fuse. You may want to have a couple of spares so that you can change one on the fly if necessary. With this converter, it does make a little bit of a humming or a buzzing sound sometimes. It's perfectly normal, it's just its cooling system. If it's operating under heavy load, nothing to worry about. Next to that is your combination propane and carbon monoxide detector. So this will actually do 3 things. It'll alert you to a propane leak. However, if that were the case, you would probably smell the propane before the detector alarmed. It'll alert you to a carbon monoxide situation. And the third thing that it'll do, because it's wired into the RV's 12 volt electrical system, it'll alert you to low voltage of your RV battery. Just like a smoke detector will chirp when its battery is going low, the propane detector will do the same thing if the RV battery is going low. Right above that is your GFI power outlet. So it's just like the outlets in the bathroom in your house with a test and reset button on it. But in an RV, this is wired in series with all of the power outlets in the RV. So if you trip your GFI, you'll have no power from any of your power outlets. If you ever plugged into power and wondering why you have no power from your outlets, this is a good place to start. Come here, press the reset button, everything will probably go back to normal. Underneath the bunk bed, you can pull a screw out of here to access some plumbing components. Namely, the back of your hot water tank is there, and that's where you'll find bypass valves for that hot water tank to bypass it in the winter so that you can run antifreeze through the system. Here in the bathroom, just a couple of things to cover. There's a monitor panel here on the wall that allows you to check the level of your battery. That is showing G for good right now. Fresh tank is completely empty. Black tank is completely empty, and gray tank is completely empty. This is also where you'll find the switches for your water pump. You can hear that water pump come on as it just pressurizes the system, and your water heater. So this is to activate your hot water tank on propane, to activate the propane burner of your hot water tank. So when you turn that on, the red light comes on indicating fault, and that's telling us that the tank is not running. But if we give it just a second, just like the furnace, we'll hear that tank fire up and that light will go out. Just like so. Now, if that light didn't go out, or if it only went out briefly and came back on, that might mean we need to go out and press those two black reset buttons on the hot water tank before the tank will fire up. I'll turn that off for now. When you're using your RV's sewer system, make sure you use a good, potent RV toilet chemical. It's available in powder, liquid, or tablet form, and we sell all three. But regardless of the style of toilet chemical, when you dump it into the tank, put it in through the toilet. So open a package of toilet chemical, pour it into the bowl, push halfway down on the foot flush to fill the bowl up with water, and then dump the whole works down into the tank. The chemical needs a little bit of water to activate it, so always make sure that when you put chemical down into the tank, you send it down with some water. And you'll want to add new chemical to the holding tank after every time you dump the holding tank. So immediately following dumping your black holding tank, come in here, put a new charge of toilet chemical in, and you should be good until the next time you need to dump your holding tanks. Here above my head on the ceiling is your smoke detector, and unlike the propane detector, the smoke detector is not wired in to the RV's 12-volt electrical system, so you will need to check this battery occasionally to make sure that that it hasn't gone dead. And you can test the smoke alarm by pressing and holding the button. That one's working. The other thing on the ceiling here is your air conditioner unit. So the air conditioner needs to be plugged into power. The three things that require a power plug-in is your air conditioner, your microwave, and your 110 volt power outlets. And that includes your TV, as it's plugged into a 110 volt power outlet. Everything else will operate off of the battery. But to use the air conditioner, you can toggle through low and high fan settings to just have the fan running, or low and high cool settings to have the actual air conditioner running. And then there is also a thermostat control here to kind of set the temperature that you're comfortable at. At the head of the bed, you've got 110 volt power outlet for charging on one side and 12 volt USB chargers on the other side. And the bed lifts up for some extra storage underneath the master bed. I think for the most part that covers it. Hopefully you've learned something about the 2019 Sportsman Classic 190BH. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here at Trailblazer or visit our website, trailblazerrv.com. Thanks.